Bhagavad Gita is a book of mankind's collected experience of and answers to life's most basic questions. Who I am, from where do I come, what is my purpose and destiny, and most practically, how do I find happiness? These podcasts originate in the lectures of Neil Bhatt, a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda. They are presented here in 20 to 30-minute segments, each covering 3 of the Gita's 701 verses. Welcome to Gita Wisdom for Daily Living.
We have been discussing chapter 9, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga. Yoga of supreme knowledge and supreme secret. So far we have seen that Bhagavan has revealed the supreme secret that I pervade everything in this Jagat. And this Jagat is supported by my Maya. My association with Prakriti. Prakriti produces all that is moving and unmoving. But I am not in the Prakriti. I am not in the beings in the Prakriti. Those beings are in me. I am not in the Jagat, but Jagat is in me. In other words, my self supports the perception of the Jagat. So the Jagat exists as long as I perceive it. This world exists for me as long as I am conscious of it. When I'm not conscious of this Jagat, then this Jagat does not exist for me. The same way from the Supreme Consciousness, as long as the Supreme Consciousness is aware of the Jagat exists, and therefore Bhagavan says that I'm not in the Jagat, Jagat is in me. But then he also says that they are also not in me. The beings and things in this Jagat are also not in me. In other words, the Jagat and the things and beings which I see in the Prakriti, they are not in the consciousness. The consciousness is not affected by these perceptions of the world outside. So Bhagavan created contradictory statements for us to understand relationless relationship with Bhagavan. We are related to Bhagavan as close to Him as we are to our own selves. Because this world is created out of Bhagavan's own self. Therefore, I cannot be further away from Him than I am from my own self. And that's the secret which is the supreme secret. Even though I am as close to Him as I am to my own self, but I never feel His presence. So Bhagavan said, to feel my presence, you have to identify with me. People who do not identify with me, Bhagavan is explaining in last verse 12, he says, Mogha asa mogha karmanaha mogha gnana vichetasaha. This is the reason why we are not experiencing His presence. Because we are distracted by our vain desires. Those desires prompt us to do vain actions. Because of our vain knowledge, who we are, we consider this body, this mind, this intellect is to be me, this limited being to be me. This is the false notion about myself, which drives me to find happiness outside in this world. I'm driven by my Rajasic and Tamasic tendencies. As we have seen, this Maya is the root cause of the production of this Jagat. The Jagat comes into existence out of Maya. Maya has 3 qualities, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Therefore, everything in this Prakriti is nothing but the representation of Maya to us. So everything in this Prakriti has those 3 qualities, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Awareness, activity and inertia. Anything to exist in space and time, it has to have activity and inertia. And Sattva is the awareness part of it. So everything in this Jagat has these 3 qualities. The permutation, combination of these 3 qualities make this plurality that we see. Like in a 3-color printing, there are only 3 colors, but it creates myriads of shades of color. So we can create all kinds of pictures from the combination of those 3 colors. The same way this Prakriti produces variety of things and beings by permutation combination of these three gunas. So Bhagavan said those people, up to the level of human beings, people are just living by their instincts. All animals and plants and all aquatic life, they survive in the lap of Mother Nature. They are aware of their own existence, but they are not aware of any other higher entity. Human beings are the only ones who have intellect to realize that there got to be somebody higher than me, somebody greater than me, to have the control over this world. Having that understanding, I still don't identify with him because this rajas and tamas dominated. So tattva is subdued by rajas and tamas. Then all my actions will be driven by those rajasic and asuric tendencies. The rajasic and asuric tendencies tell me that my happiness lies in this world out there. Therefore, all my efforts to achieve that happiness, which is my true nature, just like water seeks its own nature, happiness is our true nature. So we constantly seek bliss and happiness, and therefore we work in the world outside. We never complain about why I'm feeling good today. We always complain why I'm not feeling good today. Because being good is my nature, being not feeling good is not my nature. But Bhagavan said you are not recognizing your nature because of your wrong knowledge about yourself. Moga gnana. Because of the wrong knowledge, vichetasa, my thinking is wrong of where my happiness lies. I'm working outside in a rajasic manner to acquire things, to achieve things, to get happiness. And then I think if I don't do anything, then I'll be happy. That asuric tendency. Because of these two aspects of my nature, which is predominantly rajasic and asuric, I'm not identifying with him. So Bhagavan said that when I take the human form, people do not recognize me and they avoid me, ignore me. So we know everything about our own self, other beings, but we don't know about the divinity which is common in all of us, the consciousness which is the common factor, which is the one thread which ties everything together in this universe. So therefore Bhagavan says, Raksasim asurim cheva prakrutim mohinim sritaha. By the nature of this rajasic and asuric prakriti, they are confused about their own self. They're confused about the divinity in all human beings. Contrast to them, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim asritaha. But in this path of evolution, everything evolves from tamas to sattva. So even in our evolution of our planet, we obviously can think about first there was nothing but just inert matter. Then came the organic life. Then gradually it evolved into more complex life, more intelligent life. So everything evolves from inertia to knowledge, from tamas to sattva. Some are in the path of evolution at tamasic level, but they are all in the path of their own evolution. So next step is rajasic, to be rajasic. So in our self-unfoldment, Swamiji says that when you introspect and see what you find, if you find tamasic qualities, then replace it by rajasic quality. If you find rajasic tendencies, replace them by sattvic tendencies. So this is a conscious effort as a human being. We have our freedom to choose how to behave. So Bhagavan said, those Mahatmas who have evolved to sattva, even Mahatma has rajasic and tamasic tendencies, but they're subdued by sattvic tendencies. In other case, the rajasic tendency was subduing the sattvic tendency. Here the sattvic tendencies are subduing the rajasic tendencies and tamasic tendencies. The daivim prakriti masritaha. So the sattvic is considered the daivi, divine qualities, closer to the reality. Daivim masritaha bhajantim ananya manasaha, knowing fully well that I'm not this bundle of matter. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, this intellect. Even though I'm pulled by the tendencies of body, tendencies of mind, tendencies of intellect, I'm constantly reminding myself I'm part of this all-pervading consciousness. My consciousness is same as consciousness in all other being. Bhajantim ananya manasa, not having any other thought. Even though I'm functioning in the world like everybody else, but that thought is constant in my mind that I am the divine being. At the core of my being, I am that supreme self, the all-pervading consciousness. Knowing that gnatva bhutadim avyayam, I'm part of that immutable self, which is all-pervading. So we have discussed this example before. The space in my car or my car is in the space. The car is in the space. Space is not in the car. The space seems divided in different cars and different rooms, but it is not really divided. Otherwise, the car cannot move in the space and have Henrico space when it is in Henrico, Hanover space when it's in Hanover County. Bhutadim gnatva bhutadim avyayam. The self in me and self in you, they are not two divided selves. The self in all the being, the consciousness which makes the entire Jagat possible, is undivided. It's not that my consciousness is different than your consciousness. Your equipment, my equipment are different, and therefore our manifested representations are different. So Bhagavan said, Mahatma, one who has evolved to that level of understanding that the self is undivided and all beings are existing in that consciousness, bhajanti ananya manaha. He devotes himself to me without any other thought, constantly, with a single pointed devotion. There is no other doubt, there is no other identification, even though he realizes that he is an individual functioning as this body, mind, intellect, but that's only possible because the consciousness is functioning. We know this body is inert because we have seen dead bodies. Dead body cannot function when the consciousness is not there. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that the body is inert. Body is nothing but made up of food which I have eaten all my life. The food was inert, my body is inert. But I am a conscious being. Therefore, my real identity is the consciousness and not this body. This Mahatma has come to this level of understanding, therefore is constantly devoting himself to that true self which is the consciousness. Satatam kirtayantaha mam yatantascha dridhavrataha. He is constantly doing kirtan to me. He is constantly praising me. So we obviously kirtan, bhajan, kirtan, we hear these words in our day-to-day conversation in our culture. So the bhajan is something we are thinking about the Lord. Kirtan is obviously we are praising the Lord. But here the praise and thinking about the Lord is in a very different connotation. So when I am praising the Lord, I'm devoted to the Lord. Devotion is love for the divine. That we have considered divine, our love for the divine, that becomes devotion. And love is nothing but identification. When I identify with something or someone, I love that thing or I love that person. I love my BMW because I identify with my BMW. When I identify with the Lord as my Lord, then I devote myself to Him. This devotion is nothing but my identification with the Lord. And therefore, that kirtan. Kirtan is not that one Sunday afternoon or Saturday evening we get together and Swamiji says the noisy kirtan we do with the equally noisy equipment. Kirtan is the constant thought in my mind that I'm not this limited being. And my Lord is not divided in these beings, but we all exist in His own being. We are only existing because He exists. I'm only alive because the consciousness is functioning through me. When the consciousness will not be there, I'll be purely as just a bundle of matter. They will call it dead body and get rid of it as quickly as possible. Satantam kirtiyam yatantascha dridhavrataha. They're constantly striving because there will be pull from this prakriti to identify with it, to identify with my body, then go out and get things and go out and identify with things outside. I'll fall in love with things and beings outside. I have to constantly remind myself that therefore it's yatantaha. So once you get this knowledge from the books or from a guru, you're not done with it. That's just the beginning of it. Now you have to constantly remember with everything you do, the constant efforts are required for even Mahatmas. Dridhavrataha, and they are steadfastly established in this knowledge. There is never a doubt that this is not true. Some of us, we read this and then we read other book and they start doubting whether this is right or that is right. There's one says there is Ishvara, the other one says there is no Ishvara. One path says there is no life after death, enjoy as long as you are here. Other one says no, don't worry about this life, worry about the next life. These doubts take away my devotion, take away my firm conviction about who I am. So, dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Swamiji has a long commentary about what is bowing down and what is bhakti. Bowing down is surrendering. Here, it is not the physical act of doing namaskar, but a constant thought about I am nothing without my Lord. Without that consciousness which is all pervading is namaskar to Him. Mam bhaktya, and then devoting themselves to me. These Mahatmas also have to constantly remember that I am nothing but the representation of the divine self. This prakriti is temporary. All this representation, there's I and you and him and her, are all temporary. They are like the waves in the ocean. They will come and go, but the ocean will remain. Nitya yukta upasate, constantly having that thought in their mind about who I am and how I can identify with my Lord. Gnana yagnena cha api anye. So there are several methods now which we will see. There are those Mahatmas who are constantly doing this kirtan and bhajan. Kirtan and bhajan not in a sense of doing kirtan and bhajan on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or on a daily basis. Because this has to be 24-hour activity. So then there are others who the gnana yagnene cha api anye yajanto mama upasate. Other people who worship me through gnana yagna. And the gnana yagna, as we have discussed, is offering your ignorance about yourself. I come to the conclusion that I'm ignorant about my own self. That ignorance I'm offering to the Lord. You take care of this ignorance. Ekatvena pruthatvena bahuda visvato mukham. Various commentators have commented on differently, but in this gnana yagna, when I'm performing this gnana yagna, in a sense I'm constantly making sure that I understand who I am correctly. Making all my efforts to not let this false notion of my ego, that I am this individual entity, distract me. Then I can look at it as ekatvena, that He is one as the supreme existence. There is no other existence other than His existence. That's the one thought in one idea that I contemplate on it. Pruthatvena. But I still see Him differently in different manifestations all around me. But I still consider that to be His manifestation only. Bahuda visvato mukham. He is many, but facing all around me. Vishwatomukham. Wherever I see him. Wherever I see anything, I remind myself that that's nothing but his own representation. Our problem is we will say the good people are no problem. They are Bhagwan's representation. But what about those bad people who are shooting people, killing people, creating war? Bhagwan said, well, that's also me. Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. Wherever I see, whatever I see, is nothing but my own Lord. And that's his Leela. So Bhagavan said that's the Gnana Yagna. Gnana Yagnena Chapi Anye. Other people having this knowledge, even though it seems so different than the divine conception that I have, it is nothing but the same pristine divinity which is manifesting. We'll stop right here. If you find this podcast helpful, please support it by donating any amount by going to the episode's website at neilbhatt.podbean.com or at chinmayarichmond.org. Thank you. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.